Persona has some of the best characters that you can get in a video game. Ever since this series has introduced the social link and the confidence system, there are so many extra characters that we can get to know more and experience their story. Not only that, we have the choice to essentially romance nearly every female character that exists in the game. Starting from Persona 3, there have been so many good romance options and also some bad ones. Now I do think in terms of bad or good, it really is subjective. It does all boil down to our own preferences when it comes to which are good or bad romance options. I mean, from a writing standpoint, a lot of the characters in Persona are pretty well done. Sure, they have flaws, they're not perfect, but I think that adds so much charm to these characters. Even though it is subjective, we as the Persona community will always have the most terrible and brain-dead take, because most of us don't even play the game. And we just like to stir things up for the sake of it. I feel like this video will have some terrible opinions, but at the end of the day, it's just opinions. So don't fight to die on the hill for it. What we're going to do today is go over which are the best and the worst romance options from Persona 3 to Persona 5. I think that this is going to be an interesting topic to talk about and discuss, even though a lot of people probably had already made this type of video. Important note that this is my opinion and hopefully you guys can just discuss it in a civil manner. Okay. Please do. Starting off at Persona 3, I'm just gonna use Persona 3 Reload. This is going to be really tough. Persona 3 was also the toughest one in finding the true romance option, but in terms of the best and worst romance options, there are literally no, quote-unquote bad romance options in my opinion. All of the romanceable female characters are actually really good. So I'm gonna approach this one as if there's no actual bad romance option, just from my favorite to my least favorite. You see, when I started the game and arrived at the Iwatodai dorm for the first time, I already had my sights on Yukari. I've heard from my friend that Persona 3 has the cheating mechanic in the game where if you had already romanced a character and then you tried to romance another one, the social link rank would reverse and basically you cheated on your Persona 3 girlfriend. So at the start of the game, I saw Yukari as the one that I wanted to romance because she was basically the first character that our protagonist interacted with. I know that was basically kind of weird that I wanted to romance the first female character on sight, but it is what it is. She has the looks and that's what caught my eyes. Anyways, I didn't know that we only get to romance Yukari like somewhere in the middle to nearing the end of the story. You also had to raise your charm until the max level, so that kinda sucks. And in the meantime, while progressing the story, I tried to max Chihiro's social link. At the start of her social link, I didn't really expect much from her character. She started off as a pretty reserved and shy character, her design looks okay, but as I kept progressing her social link, she eventually became a character that I like. Of course, her social link was basically her overcoming her very reserved nature where she faced a problem that was really close to ruining her reputation as the treasurer of the student council. But as you kept spending time with her and essentially directing her, she became a lot less reserved, forwarding her opinions and feelings a lot more. There were some romantic bits here and there throughout the social link, so when she said she had feelings for the protagonist at the last rank of the social link, I regretfully declined her to be my first romance character in a Persona game. I declined because I really wanted to romance Yukari as I already had made up my mind since the start. It was devastating. She actually was a really good character and I really wanted to see the romance scene with her. But what's even more devastating is that I was playing Persona 3 Reload. In Persona 3 Reload, they removed the cheating mechanic from the game, so if I romanced Chihiro and Yukari, there won't be any consequences at all. All this time, I maxed out Chihiro's social link, knowing that if I romanced her, I can't romance Yukari because of the cheating mechanic in the original Persona 3. I rejected Chihiro as a romance option and I regretted it fully. I did not know that there was no consequences in romancing more than one girl in the game. Hiya. So anyways, I started romancing every single female character in Persona 3 Reload. I think to start off, all of these season members are really good romance options and just characters overall. Yukari, Mitsuru, Fuuka, and Aigis, they are all really good romance options and they all give unique experiences in their social links. To add on as well, they are highly involved in the main story, makes them a lot more fleshed out characters compared to the ones outside of the C's team. Because of that, I think the best romance option in Persona is Yuko. Now, settle down everyone and hear me out.
Not to speak.
As much as I like the C's girls, for me they are probably the least I want as a romantic partner. Of course there is a reason why. and that is mostly down to my preferences. To me, the Seas girls, with the obvious exception of Yukari and maybe Aigis, don't really see themselves as the protagonist's actual romance partner, and they don't really act like it. Throughout the main story, Yukari and Aigis do show affection for Makoto, which would make their romance options much more sense. But I still see Yuko as the ideal girlfriend for the protagonist. Like Mitsuru, Chihiro, and Fuuka, it just felt like it's forced, but not forced as well at the same time. You get what I mean? You can see them being nice girlfriends for Makoto, but at the same time, you also don't see them being the ideal partner for Makoto. It's not bad, but it's just really not how I imagine a romantic couple would form if you're romancing them. In terms of their social links, the focus is really on their own problems and less on the relationship between them and the protagonist. That's what I really get from completing their social links. To me, it's not really a natural progression to becoming a romantic partner for Makoto. So what I'm saying is that their interactions don't share the same experience as Yuko does. Basically, this is my opinion and I just really like Yuko a lot more. I know Yuko is a pretty unique pick, but in the True Romance Options video, I did say Yuko is the best romance option for me, and I have a whole video explaining why she's the most underrated romance option in Persona 3. For Yuko's social link, it's a pretty laid back and, weirdly enough, a unique experience that stands out too. We are not dealing with some kind of extreme dilemma or a serious situation that needs to be solved. Compared to the others, they have a lot more emotional weight to their story, which is a really good thing overall, but I just really like it when it is more simple and it's more focused on the normalcy of it. Yuko's social link is literally just the protagonist and her getting to know each other and eventually becoming really close as they spend more time with each other. Their hangouts are quite heartwarming to watch, as it's mostly just Makoto really pointing her in the right direction and Yuko does the work herself. Yuko is a well-rounded person. It's just a really simple social link of a coming-of-age story that makes you appreciate the break from all the emotional roller coaster you get from the main story. Her social link is pretty normal. Her character is also pretty normal and down to earth. When you romance her, she acts like a normal girlfriend, possibly the best girlfriend when being compared to the others. She's also pretty adorable in her own way. Her affection for kids and wanting to have kids is actually really normal and makes her a reliable wife in the future. The interactions between the protagonist and Yuko are literally what a romantic couple in real life would have. The overall experience and dynamic they have is just really special in its own way. I think being normal and down to earth in the world of Persona is special on its own. The other characters, the experience that they give as a romantic partner and the personality that they have is special, but not in the same way that Yuko gives. I'm not saying that I don't like the other characters as a romance option, but I just feel like Yuko is the most ideal romantic partner in a realistic sense. She's normal, she's down to earth, and she actually acts and loves the protagonist like a girlfriend. Isn't that the most ideal romantic partner? So my pick for the best romance option in Persona 3 is Yuko, and for the worst, well, not the worst, but the least favorite out of all of them is Chihiro. Runner-up for the best would probably be Yukari, as she would be the next closest thing to being the ideal romantic option. Before we go on to Persona 4 and 5, a big thank you to our sponsor for today's video. This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat. Tokyo Treat is a fun and exclusive monthly snack box packed with Japan's coolest and craziest treats. Each month you'll get a rare Kit Kat flavor, limited edition chips, noodles, and the latest treats from Japan straight to you. For the month of May, the theme is Japan Snackfari. Inspired by Japan's adorable animals, this box will have you discovering all sorts of unique filled flavors. In the box, you get a cultural booklet that shows fun cultural facts, snack descriptions, and allergy information. Then you get into the animal themed snacks. They all have pretty cute packaging and some pretty cool flavors. My favorites would have to be the salted caramel Kit Kats and these grape paw gummies. Yum! You know, I love sweet things and this box offers a lot of it. So if you want to get your own Tokyo Treat snack box straight to your doorstep, then click the link in the description and pinned comment down below, or use my special coupon code NEROGORO to receive $5 off your first Tokyo Treat snack box. Thank you to Tokyo Treat for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. This one might be also kinda tricky as Persona 4 has the most amazing cast of characters, as all of you know. Last time I picked Marie for my true romance option in Persona 4. She's actually one of the really good social links in the game as well. Her romance is sweet as hell. Throughout Narukami's time being the caretaker for Mari in the overworld, he basically showed the world outside of the car she had taken refuge in. As you progress through her social link, she then opens up a lot more. She starts to like the investigation team and Narukami as well, and she really considers them to be important people that she cares and cherishes. Now, for me to still haven't finished Persona 4 Golden, I just went ahead and went on YouTube and watched the social links from there. What? Are you complaining that I'm not playing the game? That's where you're wrong. I am playing the game, just like how all of you were playing Persona before. In fact, playing through YouTube compilations made by people is a lot harder to go through because we have to deal with ads interrupting our gameplay. God damn it! Anyways, there were of course romance options that I like and ones that I don't like just by watching the videos on YouTube. I really advise you guys to take my opinions with a grain of salt and with the other opinions as well. Like, this is just what I have to say. Now, I am going to say that the characters in the investigation team are going to be the best ones compared to the other 3 characters outside the team, which make total sense and quite obvious, I'm pretty sure. Enough dragging, I think there are 3 options that I can consider as the best romance option. First option is Mari. I did say that I really like her social link and just her overall romance with Narukami. She has a really enjoyable dynamic with Narukami, which a lot of people didn't really like for some reason, but I really like it because she exceeds tsundere behavior. Her tsundere isn't over the top where it's borderline degrading and bullying Narukami, it's just that when she's embarrassed, she spits out a lot of words towards him. Tsun when she's embarrassed, but she has a lot of daring moments as well. The second option would be Rise. This is an obvious pick because out of all the Persona characters from 3 to 5, no one has ever been as straightforward and thirsty towards their protagonist as Rise. In the anime, in the social link, in the main story, she has expressed her love towards Narukami numerous times, which is really nice to see because we finally get to see someone actually not standing on the fence on having feelings for the protagonist. She is certainly affectionate with the protagonist, but I feel like the overflowing affection is coming from a place of desperation and sincerity. It comes from desperation because Narukami was the one who saved her, and to her, he's like her knight in shining armor. I feel like she felt very safe with Narukami, that she just really wanted him to be with her as much as possible because she really was craving that genuine connection with someone. The sincerity part is that she genuinely does have feelings for the protagonist because Narukami is someone who's really kind and really listens to Rise. He doesn't see Rise as an idol, he sees her as his friend, and Rise does have feelings that are really genuine instead of some kind of desperation. Also, as you progress her social link, she has character development and soon understands herself a lot more, which makes that overly affectionate actions towards Narukami genuine. I really like her romance route and her social link. She's a really cute character and her social link adds a lot of depth to her character, which is nice. As for the third one, this is a hard pick because it's between Chie, Yukiko, and Naoto. I feel like the 3 of them are really good and very adorable romance options. None of them are worse than the other, but if I have to make a choice, it would probably be Naoto. I picked Naoto because of the Phantom Thief. No, but I picked her because it's a great mix of a cool story and super cute moments. You get into some deep stuff about her figuring out who she is, dealing with being a young detective, what people expect cause she's a girl, and all that pressure. It feels really good when she finally drops to the whole series detective prince act and starts trusting you and essentially acting like a girl. The best part for a lot of people, including me, is seeing that gap moe. She's usually so smart and put together, but then she gets totally flustered, blushes, or gets really awkward, especially if you date her. That difference is just really cute to see coming from Naoto, who is one of the more serious characters in Persona 4. It's that combination of a meaningful story and seeing her unexpectedly cute, vulnerable side that makes her link so good. I guess you could also make that the case with Chie and Yukiko as well, but the gap moe from Naoto is coming on way too strong and it's really hard to beat that. Even though I said all of those things, my favorite romance option from Persona 4 would have to be Rise. She is my number 1 pick for romance options options in this case because, again, she is one of the only characters in the Persona series who is very straightforward and actually shows affection towards the protagonist since the early ranks of the social link. I guess you could argue that Yoshizawa from Persona 5 Royal is also straightforward too, but it does not beat Rise at all. Look, I really like all the romance options from the investigation team and Mari too, but if I have to rank them, it would be Rise at first place, Mari followed in second, Naoto in third, then Shi and Yukiko at last. This all literally came down to my absolute preferences, so Rise would be the best romance option, even though I really like all of them. As for the worst one, that would probably go for Ai Ebihara. Not because she's badly written or her character sucks, just really not my preference of a romance option. This whole video is just showing you guys my preferences. You've been trapped this whole time. Now on to the last and the latest in the Persona series, Persona 5. Compared to Persona 3 and 4, I have no struggle in picking out who is the best and who is the worst in this case. As much as I don't like the candidate that I picked for the worst one, it's not like I really dislike her. Again, it's down to my preferences, and to me, finishing her confident story to the romance route definitely felt disappointing to me. I actually managed to romance nearly every option there is in Persona 5. The ones that I did not romance are Chihaya and Kawakami, sadly. I feel like the public consensus for the best romance options in Persona 5 would usually be Makoto, Takemi, and Kawakami. And that is probably why a lot of you guys would be upset that I did not get to romance Kawakami. The reason why I did not get to romance her is because I just completely forgot about her. I'm sorry, I was too focused on trying to get the best ending possible for Persona 5 Royale. I have to max out Maruki-sensei's confidant and also Akechi's. I also really like Sumire's confidant. I know that we all love our adult romance options in Persona 5, well limited to Takemi and Kawakami only, but I just feel like I can make curry on my own and I do not need to massage that much. Instead, I opted to max out Mishima's confidant. Look, as much as you guys don't like Mishima, his confidant abilities are very useful, okay? Sorry I had to fulfill his confidant first rather than going for Kawakami. Anyways, for the bad romance option, that would usually be Oya, the journalist. It kind of made sense that a journalist would be one of the worst confidants in the game, as nobody likes journalists in real life. It's actually kind of sad that I did Oya's romance route, but not Kawakami's and Chihaya's. I don't even know what I was thinking of, man. Look, I romanced Oya and not Kawakami purely because, again, I forgot about Kawakami and not because I prefer Oya over Kawakami. I don't want to be outed as a criminal. I guess we can just start off with the best romance option for me. Just like in the last video about the true romance option, it's the same pick. That is Sumire Yoshizawa. I'm going to say the same reasons as before. I think that she and Joker have one of the cutest relationship dynamics in the Persona series, and Sumire is also pretty straightforward with him. Throughout the main story, they share a lot of very adorable moments together that raises your diabetes level. They share moments like Joker offering Sumire to walk her to the station while being under the same umbrella together, the school festival scene where they dance with each other, their short-time attack, and her romance route where she confessed to Joker first. This is a big deal because none of the romance options actually confess to Joker first. It's always Joker initiating the romance, so when the tables are turned around, it's very nice to see. I think her character really suits well with Joker as she really relies on him a lot and she has very cute dynamics with him. Sumire also actually shows some kind of romantic development throughout the confidant before rank 8 or rank 9, which is a really great thing to see. A lot of people argue that she's a Mary Sue because she became the main girl while having little to no involvement throughout the main story before the third semester. But I still don't think that makes her one. She did take the spotlight and became the main girl at the third semester arc, but that's just how it is with re-released Persona games. Same with Mari in Persona 4 Golden, she had little to no impact throughout the main story of the game until the last part where you maxed out her social link. I don't really mind it, I really like her character. Makes the most sense for a romance option because she has shown a lot of affection for her senpai and a pretty good story arc to go with it. Now, for the least favorite of the romance options, this might surprise a lot of you, but I am going with Anne. I know that Oya is hated by a lot of people and I don't really like her much as well, but hear me out. I picked Anne because she is definitely the most disappointing out of all of them. There are some that I have low expectations for, like Oya, Hifumi, Chihaya, and Haru, so I don't really have any disappointments when doing their confidence. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised to how much I actually like Hifumi, Chihaya, and Haru's characters and confidence, because they're pretty entertaining. And I had high expectations. She was the Lover's Arcana. She was the first female character that was introduced to us in the main story, similar to how Yukari was in Persona 3, and was the first main character cast in the main story that we get to see first, as the scene where you were trying to shelter from the rain and she came up beside you to shelter as well. That scene really put a lot of expectations on how a really good romance option she was going to be, for me at least. It really was like a perfect introduction to the main heroine type scene when you meet her for the first time. But as you progress the story playing Persona 5 Royale, you'll further realize that there are more romance type scenes with Sumire than with Anne. That's kinda weird. Okay, maybe you go do her confidant because that's usually where all the romance stuff is at. Then you go do her confidant, then you discover and learn more about the stuff going on with Shiho and her modeling job. After that, suddenly you have the choice of romancing out of nowhere. This is what kind of disappoints me with her romance. It just springs out of nowhere. Like Anne gives you this feeling that it's okay to friendzone her rather than romancing her. If you did this with Sumire, for example, you'll obviously feel like you're doing something wrong, or it just doesn't feel right to not go the romance route because there's just so much progression and development that is really leading to romance. With Anne, you essentially help her in becoming strong, as in finding the strength to be someone who is determined and able to face their own insecurities, having that inner resolve and being on the right path for herself. The thing is though, this whole time it felt like Shiho was really the more important person for Anne rather than Joker, and Anne talks about her quite a lot. Because of that, it felt like there was not really much room for romantic development to happen between her and Joker. Her storyline really focused a lot more on her friendship with Shiho and processing her trauma after what happened with Kamoshida. Only at rank 9 there were signs of romance and the trigger for it. It didn't really lead up to a romance. In fact, all of the romances outside of Sumire, the biggest clear sign of romance was at rank 9. Rank 1 until 8, they're all focusing on the problem, the growth, and the development for their characters, which leaves little room for romance. But with Anne in particular, why I find her romance route disappointing is again the fact that the main story kind of introduced her to be the main heroine with that scene and her being the Lover's Arcana. Then when you romance her, it feels unnatural and forced. This doesn't mean her character is bad, although I feel her character is a bit overshadowed by the main cast, but she's still a good character. She's well-rounded, she's a bit basic, which has a charm of its own, and her confidence story is pretty solid. But it's just her romance route that was pretty disappointing. So that's my pick for the best and the worst, Sumire for the best and Anne for the worst. Ultimately, the best and worst romance options in Persona are subjective. Each game offers diverse characters and storylines that resonate differently with players. While some romances feel more natural, others may feel forced. Each character provides a unique experience, contributing to the Persona world. Whether you prefer a straightforward partner or a nuanced relationship, there is an option for everyone. I'm just here giving my opinions on which I like the most and which I like the least. I'm curious as to which of these romance options do you think is the best and the worst. Let me know in the comments down below. That is all. I'll see ya.